What is up, Pop fam? Welcome back to the Pour Over podcast. We are back and better than ever. And why do I say better than ever? Well, if you are listening to this in Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you probably haven't noticed, but the Pour Over podcast is now available in video format on YouTube. Whoop, whoop. I am so excited about this transition. It was something I knew I wanted to do from the beginning, but it's guys, I don't know if you know this, but being just a girl and trying to figure out recording and editing and filming and lights and cameras and angles and batteries and microphones and all this stuff, it's very difficult when you are self-taught. So I waited and I did my research, and it's still taken me a little bit of trial and error to kind of figure out all of this, but I'm so excited about this. I feel like video podcasts are just more personal. I feel like they just feel like you are really in the room with the person. And I've said it from the get go. I want this podcast to feel like you are sitting down with me over a cup of coffee and we are just chit chatting about life and everything that goes along with that. So I knew I wanted to do this and I'm very excited about this change. So if you are listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, go ahead and log into YouTube, search for the Pour Over podcast. You will see my smiling face, and make sure you subscribe and press the notifications button so you get notifications when I upload, which is every single Tuesday. But here we are, and I'm so excited about this. I feel like it's just going to be great, and hopefully it'll make you guys feel like you know me a little bit better, and hopefully it feels a little bit more personal. But that's enough for announcement number one. Announcement number two. If you are watching this in YouTube, you will see that I am in front of a wall on a couch, and we're in my apartment, you guys. What? This is so crazy to even be telling you guys. So, surprise number two, I moved out. A lot's been happening in the last month, but here we are. We are in my apartment. It is so crazy that I'm here. I've been here consistently for a little over a week now, about a week and a half. And I'm telling you, it feels like it's been like a month or 2 months. And I think that's just because adulthood is like fully hitting me and fully starting to like wash over me. I mean, I've had to deal with maintenance stuff and grocery shopping and cleaning and all the things that come with furnishing an apartment, setting up Wi Fi, all of that jazz. It's been quite an adventure already, but it finally happened. I moved out and I'm on my own, which is so just wild. And I feel like it's really all from the Lord. And I just feel like so much has happened in the past month. And I feel like God is just teaching me a lot right now. And He's doing some really deep digging in me. And it's not easy for me to handle. There's been a lot of changes, transitions. It's been a lot of me letting stuff go and taking some stuff on, which is actually why I titled this podcast episode what it is titled. The title is Moving On, Letting Go, and Holding On to Tomorrow. And if you are an early 2000s girly, hopefully you understand the song reference. If you don't, please go back and rewatch Hannah Montana. Special shout out to you if you completely recognize the song that these lyrics are from. But I, number one, chose this title because it's kind of iconic, you have to admit, choosing Hannah Montana lyrics for a podcast title. But also, I really do feel like it's so fitting for what God has been doing in me. I've been doing a lot of moving on from things and places, and same with letting things go. I've had to let some people go, I've had to let some things go, and it's been a challenge. And with the holding on to tomorrow, like I've really just been holding on to the hope that God has a plan for me, even if it's not always easy for me to step into. And even if I can't always see the big picture, there's always tomorrow. God has a plan for me and He has promises for me that I know He's going to keep. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. So those are the two big announcements. I am just so I'm just so honored to be here, you guys, and I hope that you are excited to be back and listening. If you are a first time listener, hey, hi, welcome. I'm Kyla. Make sure you go back and listen to season one, at least the first couple episodes. I do talk about my story. I want to say it's episode one in season one. And I hope you just go back and give that a listen, even if it's after this episode, so you can kind of get to know me and my story a little bit better. But thank you for being here. We love it here. We love having you here. So, without further ado, I just want to get right back into kind of what God's been doing in my life. There's been a lot of change, transition, and I'm just going to do a little bit of a life recap for you guys. And we are going to start right at the beginning. All right, so we are going back to, I want to say October. So I knew one of my goals for last year was to move out because I finally got a really good job where I could save up some money to be able to move out. And I am so, so thankful for my job and just the consistency of it and the consistent income. It's such a blessing from the Lord in so many ways. But I finally got a really good job where I could save up and move out on my own. So I knew that was one of my goals. I didn't know if it was going to happen. But I prayed a lot about it. I left it up to the Lord and I was like, God, you know my heart. You know what I want to happen this year. You know this is my desire. If it's in your will, then it'll happen. And that's great. So I first applied to some apartments in October. And this was actually the first place that I applied to. So I was kind of already feeling good about it. And I was like, good girl. I'm an adult. I'm applying for an apartment. And luckily, the whole application and getting approved process was pretty easy. I've never rented before, so my rental history is completely clear and it's a clean slate and my credit is good. So, if you are looking to move out, make sure your credit is good because they will check those things. So, I applied and I got approved pretty quickly and I just started applying to a lot of different places and I got approved for all of them, which is awesome. And so then my dad and I started doing some walkthroughs. We started doing some tours, looking around. And right away, when I saw kind of like the grounds of this place and I saw the apartment itself, I was like, no, this is where I'm going to live. Like I already had my mind made up, but I was trying to keep an open mind and I was trying to be as open as possible. So we looked at this place, we looked at a few different other places. One place, there was literally no way in heck I was going to move in there. Like, we pulled up and my dad was like, absolutely not, not even going in. We couldn't even get in because they had already changed the locks. I don't know why. But yeah, it was just a part of the process. But we looked at a bunch of different places and my dad and I were in the car after we did all of our tours and everything. And he was like, okay, so this is the place I think you need to go with. And it wasn't what I had in mind. It wasn't this place. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not really feeling that. And he was like, okay, well, tell me why. Let's have a conversation. And we went back and forth. And we actually kind of got into like a little bit of an argument because he thought he was right and I thought I was right. And we're both kind of stubborn. And initially, he actually told me, he was like, well, you shouldn't just go with a place because it feels like the right place. And I was like, actually, I don't necessarily think that's true because if it's someplace where I am going to be living, then I want to feel good about it. And I want to feel like I made a right decision to live here every single day. And I want to know that it was my decision, not anybody else's. You know, this is a big deal. Me stepping out and me doing this on my own. I mean, it's crazy. It's literally crazy, especially in this economy. So I was like, no, actually, like, I feel like I should trust my gut. I think that's a huge part of growing up in adulthood is trusting your intuition and trusting what you feel like is right. And I mean, sometimes things work out, sometimes they don't, but part of maturing is being able to trust yourself and trust your decision making. So I said, not necessarily. I actually think it's a pretty big deal that I go with what I'm confident in. And we really just weighed all the options. Honestly, the two places we were looking at, it was really close, but I finally was like, no, I'm putting my foot down. I know what I want. I know what I want to go with, and it's this place. So I called and I was like, what do I need to do to get this place? Because I'm making it happen. And yeah, I just filled out all the paperwork, and it was a really quick process. And a part of me was actually thinking, like, is this really from the Lord? Because I felt like it was happening so fast. I almost didn't have a chance to slow down and be like, wait, but like, is this from God? Like, okay, is this really in his plan for me? But I was praying about it the whole time. And something that I've always done when it comes to any decision that I have to make or any door that's either going to be opened or closed, I've always prayed that, Lord, if it is in your will, make it happen. Let this door be open. And if it's not in your will, close this door. Don't let it happen. And honestly, that prayer has never failed me. So maybe take that as a little piece of advice. But it's literally never failed me when you just leave things up to the Lord and you just let Him take control and you not worry about the outcome or what you want to happen, what you don't want to happen, and you just leave it up to Him. The right thing will always work out. Like when you trust His will and you trust his decision making and you trust what he makes happen in your life, everything really does work out exactly as it needs to. So that's kind of just like the prayer that I was praying. I was like, Lord, if this is what you want for me, just let it all work out really easily and smoothly and let this door open. And if it's not what you want for me, I prayed that you just close this door, close this opportunity. And it was honestly a really quick and easy and smooth process for me, which is such a blessing because I know moving out can be such a hassle. And it really was just like, okay, what do I need to do? Awesome, got it done. Beautiful. What's next? So I rolled into December thinking like, all right, this is the time when I'm going to get my keys. And I got my keys and I saw my apartment for the first time, like my actual apartment. And I'm not going to lie, I wasn't disappointed, but I didn't really know how to feel cuz I was like, wait, like this is going to be where I'm living, but I'm not living here yet because I was waiting to move out until the end of the month for a lot of different reasons. But I kind of like looked around and I was like, okay, well, here we are and this is it and cool. Like, here we are, I have my keys, cool. Now what? So I got my keys and I just was kind of like, dang, it's happening. It kind of started to hit me. And then I had to start buying some stuff to furnish the place. I already had quite a bit of things, but now that I could see the space and I knew what the dimensions were and what the space looked like, I was like, okay, beautiful. I can start furnishing it. So I had to buy all the things. And you guys, furnishing an apartment is not cheap. It's not cheap at all. So if you are thinking of moving out, let me tell you, you need to be prepared because was this was I think harder than the actual process of getting the place was just having to shell out the money all the time to buy the things for the apartment. But that's okay cuz I save money and that's a little pro tip. Save your money. But anyways, I started buying all the things and finally the time came for me to move in and it actually went pretty easily and it only took me once we had everything in, it only took me a couple of days to really get fully moved in and to kind of start living here. But my first night here was a little bit of a doozy. I didn't have a mattress because um there were just a few different reasons why I didn't have a mattress. And we were supposed to get a mattress, and my dad and my mom's fiance were supposed to go get one. They drove out of town to get it, brought it back here. It didn't fit. And turns out my bedding and my bed frame was a different size than we anticipated. And so I didn't have a mattress that fit. Yeah, it was just a whole thing. So that was a little bit of a doozy. And so I didn't have a mattress to sleep on my first night here, which is totally fine because I have this amazing couch and it worked out perfectly. This couch is incredible. It's literally the softest, most comfiest thing ever. So it all worked out. But yeah, it was just a little bit of a process to get everything in and to get a mattress and to start living here. But once we got everything in, I was unpacked within a couple of days. I'm not working right now. I go back to work tomorrow. So it luckily gave me plenty of time to move in. And I think that was a huge blessing, just being able to take the time. And it was crazy because My first night here, I was just honestly really tired and I was like, I just need to get some sleep. And then I want to say like my second or third night here, it started to hit me that I am moved out and I'm living on my own. And I was like, what the heck? Like, I am not used to living in such a quiet space. I'm used to my family being in my house or at least my dogs. And here it's just me. And it's like, this is so weird for me. And it's just so quiet. And I'm left alone with my thoughts. And if I don't make noise or if I don't have the TV on or listening to music or whatever, it's completely quiet. Like my neighborhood is so quiet and nothing ever happens. And I was not used to that. I was not used to being in a completely quiet environment. And for some people, it's like, well, what's the big deal? Like, for me, that means I'm left alone with my thoughts, okay? And that's either really good or either really bad. So it's just definitely been an adjustment. And I've had some things that I've had to work out with maintenance. And I had a little bit of a breakdown on New Year's Eve because I had this whole plan for how New Year's Eve was going to go, and my stove didn't work. And normally, I'm okay with things not going my way. I'm okay with things not going exactly as I planned, but it's just when I let things compile and kind of compound on me and everything just builds up all together, and before I know it, I'm having a mental breakdown. So I had a little bit of a breakdown on New Year's Eve because I was very frustrated and I couldn't make dinner the way I wanted to. But I ended up with a frozen pizza. And, it's cool. It's great. Frozen pizza for the win. Thank you, Tostinos. But it's just been so eye opening. It really has been. Like, spending time on your own alone is just already kind of hard sometimes. And living on your own with like no real like interaction, that's a little bit of a doozy, and that takes some adjustment and that takes some time to figure out. But honestly, I'm just so, so, so thankful for this space because I really feel like this, as much as I am enjoying living here and I know, that I have a lease and everything, I really feel like this time in my life is temporary. And I can't quite explain why, but I was actually talking to one of my friends about this. And I really feel like this time in my life when I'm living alone and I'm doing life kind of on my own and I'm just in this space, it just feels like it's not going to last very long. So I'm trying to just take advantage of it and really just enjoy it while it lasts because I know that God has something for me on the other side. And I know there's something after this coming and it's going to be really great and really big. So I don't know how long I'm going to be living on my own, but I just know that this is very temporary. So I'm kind of just trying to enjoy it while it lasts. And I'm trying to enjoy everything and kind of romanticize living on my own. I'm trying to romanticize all the things. And it actually has been really fun furnishing my own place, decorating my own place, getting all the things. Like, yeah, it costs money, but everything costs money. So you just kind of have to take it as it is. And it's also been really cool seeing all like my friends and family's reaction to my apartment because they know it's such a big deal for me to be out on my own. And honestly, I know that I couldn't have done this and I couldn't have taken this step if I was where I was a year ago, not just financially, but just my trust in myself and my confidence in myself has grown so much over the year, which I give full credit to God for. But I have so much more confidence in who I am and where God has me and his plan for me, even if I can't see it fully. Like, of course, I have my bumps in the road. And of course, I have my moments where I'm like, Lord, what is happening? Like, what is going on? But I have so much more confidence in God's plan, whatever it looks like. And I have so much more confidence in my decision making and I trust myself so much more and I have so much more just trust in me being on my own and being able to kind of take care of myself. I mean, is the Lord taking care of me? 100%. But also, I have to be able to take care of myself. And there is the practical side where I have to be able to pay my own bills. I have to be able to trust, when I leave my apartment, when I don't, being on my own, safety things, all like that stuff. So I know that I couldn't have done it a year ago. And I'm just so thankful to God that He's worked it out exactly as it needed to be to where I am today and where I feel like I can trust myself today. I don't know if that really makes any sense, but God's just done such a big thing in me. And part of that is the Lord just showing me that I'm ready to take this step and I'm ready to be on my own and I'm ready to just be in this space that I really feel like is from the Lord. And some of my friends and I prayed over the space. I got a little bit anxious when I was headed over here, getting ready for my first night here. I just kind of had like a little mini panic attack because it was starting to hit me. It's really hit me in waves. Like sometimes I'm great, I'm fine. And other times I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening? I'm an adult. I'm living on my own. What's going to happen? And, it just comes with the adjustment. But I had some of my friends just pray over this space. And I really do feel like just so many awesome moments with my friends, with my students, and even just alone time with myself and the Lord is just in store for me. And I've already had some really beautiful moments here. So that's my moving out story. And yeah, God's just been showing me so much about myself and my patterns and my habits and everything, just being on my own. Like I said, it's not for the weak, but God's just been showing me a lot and showing me that I am more capable than I realize. And that's something I've struggled with is trusting myself and trusting my intuition and my decisions that I make. And God's showing me like, hey, you're ready. Like I've equipped you for this. You are ready. You just need to learn to take that step. And honestly, it was a really big risk. And there were definitely moments where I was like, okay, this is really happening. Am I ready? But I just feel like God is telling me, you're ready for this. And He's going to be with me every step of the way. So I just have full confidence in Him. So that's my moving out story. That's kind of something that I've had to just jump right into. But now I want to get into some of the things that I have had to let go of and move on from. Okay, forewarning, this is gonna be this might be a tearjerker for you guys. Maybe you don't cry. If not, it's totally cool. I might cry. I don't know. But this is gonna be where you might want to get your tissue boxes ready because this has been the hardest part for me the last couple of months and even in the last couple of weeks. This is like so scary. Like, why am I already ready to cry? Just bear with me. This might take me some time to talk about. This is definitely a more personal side of what God's been teaching me, but I'm hoping that everything He's been teaching me is something that you can gain or something that you can learn from. I really just want to transfer everything that God is teaching me and doing in me to you so you can kind of learn from it and so you can see how faithful God really is, even in the hard moments. But I'm not very good at opening up about super personal things. So just bear with me. I'm going to do my best to get through this. So, in the last couple of months, sorry if you heard my stomach rumble. We're fasting right now as a church, so I'm a little hungry, but it's okay. Holy Spirit's got me. I'm going to be just fine. But in the last couple of months, the last few months, I have dealt with moving on from some relationships that I had for a long time. And I had to let go of people that honestly I never thought I was going to let go of. And it's one of those things, like, I don't think anyone's really prepared to lose anybody ever. Um, Whether it's a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a parent or a friend or whoever it is, like you're never really ready to say goodbye to that person. And I especially wasn't. And that was something, funny enough, that was something I recognized in myself was I've had a hard time letting go of people. And I almost feel like for multiple reasons, God orchestrated it to where I had to say goodbye to people. And I almost feel like God was like, girl, this is something you need to grow in. So I'm just going to put you through it. And yeah, like I said, bear with me, but it definitely has taken me some time to process it and to let those people go fully. And honestly, the realization that I needed to let those people go kind of came out of the blue and kind of came from nowhere. I don't know, like I said, if anyone's ever really ready for like a friendship breakup or to let people go and to say goodbye and to like move people out of their lives, but it just kind of hit me all at once. And I was like, oh, okay, this is what's happening right now. And it just kind of, like I said, all compounded on me. And I was like, I can't deal with this right now. And some of the people that I've had to let go of were people that I thought would be in my life forever. Like, I realized that people are going to come and go, but I thought, even if everybody else in my life walks away, I'm still going to have these people. And those were the people that I ended up having to say goodbye to. And I was like, not okay. I wasn't okay for a long time. And it really hit me. And it started to take a toll on me because my circle was very quickly not a circle anymore. It was very quickly dissipating and transforming into not a circle and not even like an inner circle. You know, people say like you have your big circle and that's like your friends, your coworkers, like the people that you see on a regular basis. And then you have like your inner circle of people that you really let into your life. That inner circle was what was dissipating. That's what was disappearing. And people were getting moved into different positions of my life. And I looked around and I was like, wait, I don't have a circle anymore. I have people in my life, yes, that I talk to, that I open up to on occasion, but everyone's kind of like disappearing and everyone's lives are changing. And that's really different from how my life is looking. So, what do I do with that? Because I'm a very social person and I very much, as much as I am very independent, in case you couldn't tell, as much as I am very independent, I still very much rely on people. And that's because I'm a human being and God created humans to be in relationship and connection with each other. He created us to be in community. And so you need community. Like, I don't know if anyone's ever told you this, but you need a community. I don't know if you're a part of a small group, a life group, a friendship circle, whatever. You need community. I get it. You might be an introvert. Maybe you're like, I hate people, people suck. That's valid sometimes, but you need community. We were built for community. We need friends. We need friendships. We need people to do life with. So for me, when that circle started to kind of disappear, I was not ready for that. And it started to be very isolating. And I also feel like a lot of my friends have been going through transitions and the transitions they're going through are making their lives look incredibly different from mine. And I looked around and I was like, I'm literally the only person I know that is in this place of life that I'm in right now. And that in of itself is isolating because naturally we kind of gravitate towards the people that have lives that mirror ours. And when that starts to change, which is also, side note, just a part of adulthood, like everyone's lives change. People grow up, get married, have kids, move away, start their careers, and everyone's life kind of starts to be a little bit different. It's not like when you were in high school and your life pretty much looks like everyone else's around you for the most part. Friendships do start to take a little bit more effort, which I knew that. But when you look around and you see that everyone's life doesn't really look like yours and you feel like you're kind of doing life on your own, that's very isolating and that's very weird, especially for someone who is as social and reliant on relationships as I am. And it was very difficult for me to say goodbye. And it actually took a conversation with one of my best friends, one of the people I'm closest to. She's a sister, she's a mentor, she's amazing. Shout out Tisha. But it actually took a conversation with someone for me to realize like that relationship that you're letting go of might not come back. And you just need to come face to face with that because I wasn't really ready to. I knew that I was taking some time off and I was like, okay, well, if all else fails, like maybe we'll circle back. And that is still possible. Who's to say we'll never circle back and kind of rekindle that relationship or that friendship? But for the time being, it was time to say goodbye. And that was very emotional for me and it hit me very hard. And if I'm being honest, I got a little bit depressed because when you start doing life on your own, and you look around and there's not a whole lot of people you feel like you can open up to and really do life with, you get a little lonely and that gets a little depressing. So it was just it was very hard for me to say goodbye. And, slowly but surely, I feel like I am kind of rebuilding my circle. But the other day, or maybe it was like last week, I don't even remember. All the days are blending together. But I started to have a little bit of another little mini breakdown because number one, I'm a very emotional person. And sometimes I just need to feel things and let myself feel them. And then I move on. But I I was a little bit frustrated because there were some people in my life and I felt like I know this about myself. I've identified this about myself, but it's still kind of hard to come face to face with sometimes. But I feel like I am the kind of person who was just taught literally by my parents like you are going to give 110% for people. That's just what you do. Like you don't do bare minimum friendships. You don't do bare minimum relationships. Like if you really want someone in your life, you are going to give 110% of yourself to them. And you're going to do that because you love them and you want that relationship with them. And so I was always taught to go above and beyond for people. And that is kind of exhausting. And I'm working through that. But I was always taught to do the most for people. And when you find yourself doing the most for people and they're not doing that back, and you realize that, that's very frustrating because as someone who just kind of naturally does that, you start to think like, wait, why is everybody else not like this? Why are people okay with kind of giving you their time and energy and kind of putting effort into you and kind of checking up on you and kind of wanting to hang out with you, but not really? And then they go out and do stuff with everybody else. And then you start to think, is there something wrong with me? Is there something wrong that I'm doing? Am I turning people away from me? Am I turning people off? Is there something that I need to change about myself? And I just kind of was fed up with people. And I was like, what is going on? Why am I such a giver of my time and energy and emotions? And why do I open myself up to people and they don't really do the same back? Like, why do I give so much of myself to people and they not reciprocate that? And I had a conversation with someone and they kind of just told me, like, you might be outgrowing the spaces you're in, and that's totally okay. And that was very eye-opening for me, and it was a realization that the space you're in right now is not gonna last forever, and sometimes you start to see when God is preparing you to move you out of that space, and sometimes God is just getting you ready to not be in that space anymore, and that in of itself can be isolating, because when everyone around you is in the same space and in the same place of life, and they're doing the same things, and God wants to keep them all together, but he's kind of getting you ready to move out of that space. You look and you're like, wait, but like, why is everyone else's life like this and mine isn't? And it's because sometimes God is getting you ready to move on and to let go of things and to let go of people. And that's hard. That is so hard to deal with. That is so hard to process that your life is not going to be the same. And you are going to be moved out of the area where you're in. And God has a plan for you that doesn't look like everybody else's. God has a plan for you that is going to remove you from the spaces that you have known and loved and become dependent on for so long. Like, I have become so dependent on my life looking like X, Y, and Z and having X, Y, and Z people in it. And if God is getting me ready to move out of that space, he's going to start removing those people because I need to get ready to not have X, Y, and Z people in my life anymore. And also, part of the conversation that I had with this person made me realize that people are not always going to show up for you. And that's just kind of how it is. Is it disheartening and discouraging? Of course, especially when you're someone who naturally gives so much to people. That is very frustrating. because to you, it's like, well, that just comes naturally. Why doesn't that come naturally to other people? Why don't people show up for me in that same way? But God sees people's heart and people's intentions. And if he sees that someone is not going to reciprocate that for you, he might start moving them out of your life. And then in your mind, you're like, well, wait, why is God moving them out of my life? Why don't we hang out anymore? Why don't they come to my stuff? Why don't they invite me to things? And it's like, well, God may not want them in your life because he knows what you need in this space and in this season of life that you're in. And he knows how you need to be loved and cared for. And that person might not be able to do that right now. So he's going to start separating you. But that comes with isolation, and that comes with saying goodbye to people and moving on from people and moving on from the spaces that you have known and relied on for so long. And for a long time, I really thought this is just what my life is going to look like, and I have it all set out. And God is starting to show me that's not the case. And of course, because he is God, he's not showing me the full picture. He's not showing me the big picture of what my life is going to look like, but he is starting to reveal some things to me. And actually, the other day, I got a prophetic word from someone, and it was just so beyond what I needed. I mean, obviously, in case you couldn't tell, I've kind of been going through it emotionally and mentally, and I was really going through it at that time. And this person came over and gave me a prophetic word from the Lord, and it was so what I needed. And something they said in the prophetic word was, "Don't be afraid to step out on your own." And when she said that, I immediately burst into tears. I was like, what? Because I have been so afraid to do that. And I've been so afraid to say goodbye to people and to let people go and to come to terms with the fact that this person might not be in my life forever and it might be time for me to say goodbye. And I've been so afraid to step out on my own and do something different and make my life look different, because that is kind of isolating when you don't have anyone in the same space of life as you. But God is always with you. And that's something I've been trying to remind myself is, as much as I feel like, yes, I'm letting people go. Yes, I've had to say goodbye to friendships I never anticipated saying goodbye to. Yes, I'm in a place of life that looks different than a lot of people's. Yes, I'm doing something different. Yes, I'm doing things a little bit differently. Yes, I am branching out and doing things on my own. I'm not on my own because the Holy Spirit is living inside of me, and he is constantly with me and guiding my actions and guiding my life. And he's telling me what I need to do with my life. And God is slowly but surely revealing things to me and showing me, you are going to branch out on your own and it's going to be okay. Even with moving out, like, that was a huge step for me to take. And it was different and new and exciting, but also kind of crazy and challenging and scary. And God has, even in this past week and a half, shown me, you don't have to be afraid to step out on your own because I'm with you even there. And a conversation that I had with someone kind of showed me, like, it pointed me back to Abraham, where God was like, you need to follow me. I'm going to show you where you need to go. And Abraham had literally so many people following him, and he had no clue where he was going. God didn't tell him, like, hey, this is your destination, this is your end point. God just said, follow me and trust me, and I will show you where you need to go. And Abraham wasn't just worried about himself, he had people that were relying on him. And he was just like, Lord, wherever you take me, that's where I'll go. And even if it looked like picking up and moving tents and going to a different place that he had no idea where it was or what it would look like, and pitching a tent there for the night, and he didn't know if he was going to be there for a night or for 2 weeks or for months or for years or how long. He just trusted the Lord wherever the Lord took him in that moment. And that's what I'm trying to do. I've been really trying to remind myself to just be like Abraham and just trust that God is going to take me where I need to go, and he's going to bless me in that. And it's going to be a process, and sometimes people might look at me like I'm crazy, and sometimes I might be the one stepping out and doing something different. But that doesn't mean God isn't with me, and that doesn't mean it's not God ordained. Just because I'm doing something different and just because other people's lives don't look like mine, that doesn't mean that it's wrong. God is doing something unique in my life. He has a unique and special calling on my life that might not look like anyone else's, but that's okay. God's still with me in that, and the Holy Spirit will still be with me. And Jesus loves me and gives me grace. And he died so that I can have a relationship with him and trust him and rely on him and know that no matter where I go, no matter what life looks like, no matter who walks out of my life, I will always have the Lord. And that has just been such a comfort knowing that, yeah, life looks a little crazy right now, and I might not be in this space forever, and God might have something new and exciting coming very soon, and He might be shaking up my life a little bit, and it might be isolating, but that is okay. So that's just a little bit of what I have been dealing with and going through lately. Like I said, no one's ever really ready to say goodbye to people. No one's ever really ready to grieve the loss of that person, you know, especially when they're like still here on earth. It's kind of hard because you see them and you see their lives and you see, that maybe it's working out and you thought you would be there to celebrate with them, or maybe things aren't going as planned for them and you wish you could be there to do life with them and to comfort them and to just be there for them. It's weird. It's weird. Friendship breakups are not easy, and they're also very real. I mean, part of adulthood is saying goodbye to people and having your life look a little bit different than your friends, and just learning to be okay with that and learning to be okay with wherever God has you and wherever He puts you, even if it does mean being in a different space than other people. So that's just a little bit of what I've been growing through, and just trying to learn how to navigate. I'm 22 and I'm single, and I'm dealing with a lot of change going on in my life. And I really do feel like God is just trying to show me it's all going to be okay. And if you are listening to this and you are going through a friendship breakup or a relationship breakup, or you've had to say goodbye to some people that you thought would be in your life forever, or some big changes are happening, or you're thinking that you're going to have to take a big step and you don't know if you're really ready for it, or even just entering like in this new year, like I feel like so much is going to happen this year. I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like it's just going to be a really, really good year. But that's going to come with change, and that's going to come with navigating new things that we haven't navigated before. If that applies to you at all, if any of that applies to you or your life or some of the thoughts and feelings you're having about this year, let me just tell you, it's all going to be okay. Like, God is going to be with you every step of the way. And yeah, it's going to take some hard times, and it's going to take some, maturity. And that's okay. And God's going to mature you in your faith and in your life. And He's just going to grow you into exactly who He wants you to be. I feel like everything that I've gone through, God has just used it to make me more and more like the person He wants me to be. I feel like God has this big picture of who I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to look like and what my life is supposed to look like. And I feel like He's just getting me closer and closer to being that version of myself, or being that person, and having my life look like that every day. And that comes with navigating a lot of really hard things and kind of just trusting God in the process. Like, in those makeup videos where it's like, you just have to trust the process. Like, I really do feel like you just have to trust the process. And the hard part in that is that it's not your process. It's not your plan. It's not that you know the final outcome. It's that you have to trust God's process, and you have to trust the process He puts you through. And you just have to trust that He knows the final outcome, and it's what's best for you, and it's good for you, and it's all going to be okay. So, that's me. That's where my life is at. And yeah, that's just kind of a life recap. And honestly, I wasn't really sure what this episode was going to look like. I was really just excited to kind of catch up with you. And I hope that you feel a sense of encouragement from this episode, knowing that we all go through things. And sometimes those things are really hard, but there's so much grace in that. Like, God doesn't expect us to have it all figured out on day one. He doesn't expect us to just walk around and be like, okay, God, whatever. Like, I'm cool if you're cool. Like, that would be ideal, yes. But He also knows that we have emotions and we have to process things, and we have to give ourselves time and, kind of validate the experiences that we're going through and understand that we're only human. And the idea is to look more and more like Christ all the time, but we're also only human, and we need to just give ourselves space to kind of process things and let life happen and experience life. But there really is so much beauty in what God is teaching you. And just to kind of, sorry, my nose piercing is so itchy right now. I think it's because I put makeup on, and every time I wear makeup, it just gets so itchy. Like my whole face gets itchy. I don't know why. But anyways, I feel like I just want to close out this episode kind of talking about what I feel like God's teaching me, which I've kind of already talked about, but I really feel like this whole season where I've had to kind of step out on my own and be alone and spend more time alone and say goodbye to people. I honestly think, and this is so wild of me to say, but I honestly think part of the reason God is having me go through this right now is because he's making me come face to face with some of the fears and insecurities that I have. And before I have intimacy with friends or with guys, or before I open up a new relationship and build new friendships and build a relationship with a man, like I feel like he's really like, before you do any of that, you need to have intimacy with me, you need to build your relationship with me, and you need to come face to face with some of the things that you have been avoiding approaching and avoiding working through and dealing with, because in me, you will find healing, and in me, you will find contentment and satisfaction and a fullness of life. And in me, you will find acceptance of yourself. And then you can go out and find friendships that are really for you. And then you can go out and find the person that I have for you to marry, the person that, is your partner for life. So I feel like part of the reason God is really having me get alone right now is because when I'm alone, I go to Him. And it's not that I'm really fully alone, it's that I am alone with Him. And it's making me kind of come face to face with Him, even. And He's like, okay, you want to have a relationship? Let's work on our relationship first. You want to have intimacy with people? Let's work on you having intimacy with me. I mean, it really is like a relationship with God. And that kind of sounds crazy because it's like, well, but like God's not like, he doesn't seem like a person that you can like sit down on the couch with and like talk to, but he is very much like that. So, yeah, I just feel like God is like, okay, we're going to work on you a little bit, and I'm going to make you get alone because it's good for you and you need some healing and you need to work through some things before I put these people in your life. So that's it. That's what God's kind of teaching me right now. And I hope that some of that resonated with you. And I hope that some of that spoke to you. It's not always easy to open up about some personal things, but I'm going to work on that this season. I'm going to work on getting more personal and letting you guys know like what God is doing in me, because this is a family. Like we are all one body of Christ, and you are my brother or sister in Christ. And, we can't grow if we don't open up a little bit. And I also want to open up so that something I am working through or going through can help you in the future. So that's it. That's all for today's episode. We are at, oh my gosh, 48 minutes. Your girl's been yapping a little bit, but we are at 48 minutes. And yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I hope that you feel encouraged by this episode. And I'm just so thankful that you're here and listening or watching if you're on YouTube. Wink, wink. But I just hope that you feel encouraged by this. And I hope that you decide to become a part of the P.O.P fam. So that's all for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening and being a part of the P.O.P fam. Again, if you have not liked, subscribed, followed, whatever, go ahead and do it, because I have a lot in store for season 2. And I am shaking things up a little bit in the format of the episodes, which I'm sure you've already noticed if you are a loyal listener. But yeah, here we are. Welcome to 2025 and season 2 of the podcast. I love you guys, and I will see you next Tuesday.